Welcome to the CEN show, a platform where we learn from the world community. I'm your host, Rashaki Maskani, and this evening we have a co-host. We got Brother Mooco. And I want to tell everybody how I met Brother Mooco. I was listening to the Counter Racist Code show, and matter of fact, it was probably before the Counter Racist Code show when Neely Fuller and Mr. Bobby was on the other platform.
And Talk
Tainment Radio. I think it was then. I'm not 100% sure, but I kept hearing this guy come on and ask Mr. Neely Fuller questions. And it was Brother Mooco. And he used to say care unit all the time. And I said, right. I was like, my goodness, what's going on with this? I said, this brother got a care unit? And I know Neely Fuller Jr. used to talk about care unit. We don't have families, we have care units. So I just kept hearing this brother. I said, I got to get this brother on my show. So I reached out to Mr. Bobby. Mr. Bobby, hooked me up with Brother Mooco, and Brother Mooco and I have been brothers ever since. So,
yes,
so he's been he's a part of the team, and he does an excellent job with being a guest and co-hosting, or even hosting sometimes. So this evening, we have on the panel Brother Ahi, Brother Mashinda, and Professor Amin Ra. And our guest for this evening is Mr. Bobby, the co-host of the Counter Racist Code show. But now, since Neely Fuller Jr. has transitioned, Mr. Bobby, and I think the brother Gatewood has a show now. I'm going to show you that, and then Mr. Bobby can tell us about that a little bit later. But this evening, I wanted to really get into what's going on with Mr. Bobby, just get into him, and then we can ask him about Neely Fuller Jr. later on. So he's been on our show, this is probably his fourth time, second, third, fourth time, something like that. And I just appreciate him coming on, spending time with us and sharing information. So I want to welcome you, Mr. Bobby. How you doing this evening?
I am still learning, my brother. That's how I'm doing, ever learning.
That's excellent. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it over to Brother Mooco, and then Brother Mooco, you can ask a couple of questions, then I'm going to ask a few. So welcome, Brother Mooco. Thanks for coming this evening.
Oh, no problem. No problem. Greetings, everyone that's in the space now, listening to the recording later. Mr. Bobby, greetings to you. Long time no see. This is one of my codified, I like to say one of my codified elders that definitely led me to Talktainment Radio. So I want to ask Mr. Bobby, how did you and Mr. Fuller, how did you get into the career of, before Mr. Fuller, how did you get into the career of talk show hosting?
Well, it all started in high school. Now, I want you to keep in mind, I've been in broadcasting for 56 years, okay? And so they sent me down to a radio station here in the Columbus, Ohio area, WCBE 90.5 FM, which is still going. And so I was a guest announcer, and they liked me so well that they just kept on moving me and introducing me to different areas in the broadcast area. And next thing I know, I'm up here doing commercials, even for a local AM and FM radio station that became FM R&B. Then I started doing voiceovers. And then a lady asked me that was a part of this news station that they were going to get. It was called WOABV TV8, the heart and soul of Columbus, Ohio. And she asked me, could I do sports broadcasting? And I had been training for that. And I told her, yes, I could. And so I started doing games for them. in particular the Central State University Marauders football games, start doing that. And then locally, the Columbus City High School Basketball League, and start doing things like that. And then I volunteered for the Central Ohio Radio Reading Center, radio for people who were visually impaired. And it's just been like that ever since. And then somebody else liked my voice and asked me if I wouldn't mind auditioning for a brother by the name of Kahari Inaharo here in Columbus, Ohio, which was on Talktainment Radio. And I said, yeah, I'll do that. And then it just morphed into Mr. Fuller had several different hosts that were with him, and I listened intently, and I didn't understand at first, but I kept on listening, and I liked what he was saying. And then when all the volunteers left, I guess I was the last person standing or wanted to do that, and I got into it, and it was about maybe 6 or 7 shows, the light came on. And I began to understand what this man was talking about. And I became committed to the cause, Fuller, but to the cause, because I could see where we as Black people being mistreated in all areas of people activity. And I took hold of that and have been growing is to afraid of anything because I'm truthful. If I'm not truthful, that means I have another agenda. And my agenda is to try to educate my brother, learning myself.
All right. Brother Mooco, you got another question? You're on mute, Brother Mooco.
Oh, wow. Apologies. Wow, that's really interesting, Mr. Bai. I didn't even know that you were in broadcasting for over 5 decades. That's a real serious accomplishment. And yes, you were definitely and still is dedicated to counter racism, or the way that I look at your work is definitely working, attempting to be a counter racist scientist. Um, and when that light came on for you, I guess that's when I came into the picture of hearing you on Talktainment for the first time. Um, I like your style of broadcast, very versatile, very detailed. Let me ask you, have
Yes.
you ever seen or broadcast a show like uh like the Code Show, like Neely Fuller's show before, or was that the first time doing a show particularly geared towards racism, white supremacy?
Well, I hadn't done a show like that, but I wasn't afraid because of my background coming up from 17 years old, familiar with microphones, cameras, people behind the scene. And then when I went to Ohio State University, I also got into broadcast journalism, where I learned how to write and learn the many different aspects of broadcasting, because I wanted to be like what his name? Well, you probably don't remember him, but Walter Cronkite. He just liked the way that he delivered. But the thing that kept me going was all tell the truth. And what I learned in broadcast journalism, and people don't have to believe you, but you have to make sure that you get your facts straight. And I still do that whenever I'm speaking. I make sure that I speak from a referential standpoint, so that people can go and check the I have to accept it, but as long as I follow the journalistic protocol than they have with Neely Fuller Jr., the one thing that stood out to me was tell the member a lie. A lot of different things, who you said what to do and all that, because you might get. But when you tell the truth stay the truth. And I stick with that. And that is one of the things that endeared me to Mr. Fuller, was that being truthful. Now, I'm not going to say I understood everything he said, and I'm not going to say that I agreed with everything I do, and I still do it even today. I research heavily, and not only that, I research the research and then research that. See, so I'm always still learning.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And I mean, like the grand sister now, this Neely Fuller, I think Francis Cress Welsing said it a few times, don't follow me to the bathroom. Don't follow me to the toilet. Follow the logic. So, with
Yeah.
that being said, before I let Brother Rashiki, get to you, because I know he has a few more questions, and I do too, but I want to ask you, as far as, did you have any before meeting Mr. Fuller, or even starting your broadcasting career, did you have a workable meaning for racism up until that point? Racism, white supremacy?
By racism, white supremacy, that I didn't understand what was going on, what it is, and how it works. Everything that you think refuse you. Example, as most Black families were redlined. I didn't even know what that was. But yet and still, I'm living in that area. I couldn't understand why there were certain streets that I couldn't go beyond. I couldn't understand, or why we had to be out of about sundown or nothing. But I was hungry for the truth. When I was coming up, I used to say, and I don't know why, but I used to say it is important to know and understand. I don't know why I would say that all the time. But as I got with Fuller, then the revelation became clear as to never rehearsed our show, just like with Brother Rashiki. Sometimes he asks me, well, what do you want to talk about? And I say, we'll take it off the cuff. We'll take it off the cuff. I don't use, a script writer or anything. I let it go just the way it is, because it's raw, it's natural, and people can feel that. Now, do they have to accept it? No, they can reject it. But that's why it is important that I operate from a referential standpoint, to give people an opportunity to go and look up the information. I'm not looking for people to agree with it, but to look it up and see what it is, and then make their own decision on that.
Okay, being in broadcasting as long as you have been, and I'll let Rashiki get in after this. Um, have you witnessed racism, white supremacy? You up in the Ohio area, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
And
Yeah.
I know they got real serious issues with racism up there. Have you had any personally that affected you in your broadcasting career before meeting up or teaming up with Mr. Fuller?
Oh, yeah. I remember I tried to work for this local station that's pretty big. I went down, but see, it was my fault because I didn't understand the game, the credentials, and all the different tour, but at the same time showing me out the door. But rather than reject it, I looked at that and tried to correct my mistakes and began to get better and better and better. I used to take magazines, and read the commercials in it, just like I had a camera before me. I used to play tapes, play records on that FM station, and began to my diction together, Watch my main thing is to make sure that I always operated in the truth. Always, because if you don't tell the truth, then you become a victim, and we're already a victim of this system that is worldwide. I'll give you an example. And I was speaking with a friend of mine today. When you think of the word Holocaust, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
I would say right
Anybody?
off
The
the
first
rip,
thing that comes to your mind.
Halloween.
I would say
Halloween.
Jews. I'll say Jews.
Okay.
Yeah, Jews,
Okay.
Halloween.
Yeah. That's what we were taught. And so when we thought of Holocaust, that's the first thing we thought. And today, we understand what happened over in the Belgian Congo under Leopold II of Belgium, and what he did to the Belgian people, at which they are still suffering. It's been estimated 15 million Congolese were killed or maimed because of what? Of the rubber that they had in there and the forced labor that was perpetrated upon them in a constructed lie. Then they want us to believe I'm using air quotes, want us to believe a constructed lie, even among ourselves. You know, they thoroughly brainwashed us where we speak a foreign language. It is not our indigenous language or what our people are. We don't even know, because they completely wiped that out from us that we don't even know about. We just don't. But anyway, I use the word Holocaust because that's the first thing that comes to mind. And what happened to the so-called Jewish people that we see now, it's still being perpetrated. But no one talks about what happened to the Congolese people and how they are still suffering with cut off hands and all kind of diseases and stuff perpetrated by King Leo II of Belgium. Yeah, and I looked it up again even before we got on the show, what he did and what he didn't do, which was give the people, rights and so forth. Wasn't thinking about that, just like what's going on even today.
Yeah, I have to agree. Amazing. Yeah, I have to agree. Yeah, wow. That's real interesting. You bring up King Leopold and Patrice Lumumba.
Just like, yeah,
And
Patrice,
how,
yeah.
yeah, we were just reading on the cows in the book club about how they lied about Patrice Lumumba's death for 10 years. You couldn't even speak his name in the Congo.
That's right.
Yeah, so that's a serious
And
bit of information and harm. Go ahead, Mr.
I
Bottoms.
had a friend who's deceased now, that had some personal information about Patrice Lumumba. Went to the University of Louisville, and when he came back to pay about, this is what he told me. I'm not going to mention his name, even though he's deceased now, but he got back that people from the three initial government was right there and confiscated all their papers and all that they did. And as far as I know, even until this day, it is still classified. I want that out because it's important to the minority class, the real minority, which are them, by misinformation, or like Malcolm said, by any means necessary. This is what they do, and they do it well. They do it very, very well, so much so that they have taught us to be against ourselves, which we are. Lying, cheating, murders, and all that kind of stuff. Oh, yeah,
Hmm.
all of it.
Yeah.
And it's still going on today. You look at businesses and so forth, look who owns the businesses predominantly, even though they are only 1/10 of the world's population, but they control everything, and it's on purpose what they do. They can come in your community and open up a store, but you can't go in their communities.
Okay, now
You better not think about it. You better not think about going in that community with anything. Go ahead, Rashaki.
okay, so what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna go to the panel right now. Instead of asking questions, Brother Mooco asked some pretty good questions to get us started. So I'm gonna go to the panel. Professor Rob, do you have a question for Mr. Bobby?
Just appreciate what you asked, if I understand correctly. First of all, I want to welcome, welcome Mr. Bobby again. He said we always consider him a treasure with regard to his, wealth of knowledge and his struggle to, not struggle, but his ability to educate people to the codes of counter racism. And we deeply appreciate you continuing that effort by you and Neely Fuller. But when you talk about the codes, what is the, and this is not just for me, but it's for all people who may not have gotten the book, and a lot of people just have not tuned in to racism the way we are. Sometimes we have a tendency to believe people think the way we think, see life the way we see it, and it don't. But just in case it's on YouTube or people listen, what was the purpose of the codes, counter code of racism? What was the goal?
Well, Mr. Fuller, long before I came along, realized that our people were hurting and we were going in all different kinds of directions on purpose, because the perpetrators made sure that we didn't understand what was going on in every single area that you can think of: economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, religion, politics, sex, war. And the thing about it, he was the racists were always in charge, even though you couldn't see that. And they taught us different things, particularly like what Malcolm said. Who taught you how to hate yourself? We didn't even know that we hated ourselves, but we did. And so because we did, we were in a state of confusion, and many of our brothers and sisters are still in a state of confusion because we have been taught to reject the truth, even about ourselves. We don't even know who we are, a treasure that the Creator has put in us. We don't believe that. We don't believe that. A lot of that was explained to me in what was in the library at Alexandria that was destroyed by fire. They burned a lot of stuff there. They being the perpetrators of that. They kept some of the stuff, which I understand may be in the British Museum, but they did not want us to know how powerful that we really are. So they develop a system, a racist system, which is really an evil spirit, to make sure that we stay confined or bound to. And if you try to get out of it, then they eliminated you. They eliminated you. So the truth became imperative that we knew the truth and understood the truth and kept on understanding it. And so when I caught wind of that, like I said, I always used to say it's important to know enough. It was a hunger and thirst in me to do that. And I followed the path of the inner spirit in me about that. So it was good that I got together with Mr. Fuller, that even accelerated my hunger and thirst after that, and teaching or instructing people as I am still learning. And I had to admit that most people don't get it. Narrative that was written by the oligarchy, because they don't want you to know that. And I talked with Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, and she told me I said, well, why is it like that? She said, because they are afraid of genetic annihilation. So it becomes important for them that they keep it locked in. If you get out, guess what? They eliminate you by circumstance, and it still goes on today.
Okay.
So
What you're saying is that the primary purpose of the counter code of racism by you, by Neely Fuller and yourself, was to just educate people to what racism was about, and it's about the genetic annihilation, and
Yes.
that it goes through all these different systems, 9 systems, I think. Doctor.
Exactly. At his book and every program that he and I did, even to this day, even Tuesday, he said, and it's true, he said, if you do not understand racism, which is white supremacy, what it is and how it works, he said that everything that you think that you know will only confuse you. Temptation said a ball of confusion.
Yeah.
We're confused.
I understand.
We're confused.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people are, and they're confused for a lot of reasons. Drugs, not being taught by his family. I mean, if you rely just on white folks to teach you, yeah, you're gonna have that mentality. But if you have conscious families and families that are part of the Garveyites, the Eric Blyden's, the Frederick Douglass's, and his speech on 4th of July and all that. I mean, there's a lot of people that try to educate people, but a lot of the time, the dominant society, not just taught us, but they did the Native American that way. They did
exactly
Chinese that way.
Exactly. This is what they do. This is what they specialize in, because they do not want you to know the truth, because when you know the truth and you organize and get together and start counter racist information, then you expose them. Now you just mentioned I hate to call them Native Americans, but for example, if I tell you this right here, for example, if I say Monument Valley, you know exactly what that is and who that is correct?
No.
Where the four presidents heads are on this mountain, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
but that's not the name. But that's not the name of it. See, the real name is by the Lakota Nations. You can look it up by the Lakota Nations. It's called the Land of the Six Grandfathers.
Mm.
And what the racists did, they came in and actually they took it. They offered them some fire, water, some liquor, got them all liquored up, and sold the land and took it, and then renamed it. And they do that all the time.
Yeah.
They do that all the time. If I say Central Park, you know exactly what that is. But did you know that long before it was Central Park, it was called Seneca Village?
Mm.
And Black people lived there and thrived there. See, what I'm saying is that the racist people, they burned things, they took that, they changed the name, they changed the name around so that if you don't educate our people, we never know what's going on. You just don't know what's going on. And then what does that bring about? That brings about, and then a lot of us don't believe that, so we fight against one another because they taught us to do that against other.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's good.
All right. Thanks, Brother Mooco. I'm gonna get back. Let me get through the panel. I'm coming right back to you after I finish with the panel. Anita, did you have a question now? Okay, I'll come back. Okay. Oh, there you go. Janita,
Yes,
did you have a question now for Mr. Bobby?
yes.
Okay.
He was talking about the Holocaust. How many people were there prisoners in the Holocaust?
Which one? The one that they taught you, or the one in the Congo? She's not on there anymore. I don't see her on there.
Okay. Okay. Do you know for
Okay.
the Jewish Holocaust in both? Do you know both?
I think they said between 3 and 6 million. I'm not sure on those figures exactly. But what I do know is that what King Leopold did is been estimated. Of course, they play around with those figures. What is it? Figures. Wait a minute. Numbers don't lie, but people do. They changed the figures around. It was between 10 to 13 million Congolese people that were killed or maimed, which they still are suffering to this very day. What's the day? The 23rd of April 2025. Yeah, the results, the consequence, they're still there, Maine. See, and who's them, the racists, to make sure that there is confusion in there so we don't know. So we don't know what's going on. And then that other Holocaust, which something was said about it today, even on the news, but you don't hear nothing about what happened in the Belgian Congo. Nothing. Or like Brother Mooco was talking about with Lumumba and all that stuff, because they do not want you to know this. They don't want you to know the truth. They don't. So they go to great extremes to keep it from you. And they use, like Malcolm said, by any means necessary. You know the old expression, they play both sides? That's not true, because they play all sides. ALL, all sides.
Agreed. Agreed. Anything to keep that advantage. All right.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Okay, Brother Ahi.
Yeah, the Holocaust, man, we can go on about that, but
Yeah.
because as far as I'm concerned, the Holocaust continues today. But
Yeah.
I want to ask you, brother, what do you think about the Al-Kibulanian diaspora here in North America, having our own country here within North America? Better yet, what about the diaspora in the Americas having their own nation
Okay.
here in the Americas?
Yeah, here in America. Okay.
All right, thank you.
Or the concept that called America. Yeah. It's like this, brother. Since the Creator created us, if we do anything without the Creator helping us to navigate us through, it don't matter where we are or what we do. If He's not, I call it TSA and not the Transportation Safety Administration, thought, speech, and action. If we do not follow the dictates of the one who created us, it don't matter where we are, we're not going to be successful, no matter what. And it's been tried. In fact, because people eliminate the creator, don't want to hear, not to use God, even though I'm talking about God, don't want to hear that. They want to hear everything else but God. But if we don't follow the dictates of the creator, the righteousness of the creator, it don't make no difference. We are going to fail in our personal life, in everything that we do, if we're not going to be successful. Divorce, children, bad marriages, Egyptians told tales of finances, the credit card game, or the business game, what they do to imprison us through finance. We don't know nothing about that. And so guess what? we are in debt, the debt game. So no matter what the diaspora is, if you don't follow the creator, then it don't make no difference, brother.
All right. Thanks a lot, Brother Hahi. Sister Linda, do you have a question for Mr. Bobby?
Oh, no, I'm here, but no, I was listening and learning this evening.
Okay, thanks for coming. Brother Mashenda? Just listening, Brother Mashenda? All right.
Yeah, I'm here, man. How you doing?
All right. You have a question for Mr. Bobby?
Yeah, I was just yeah, he kind of answered it. So, Mr. Bobby, you met Dr. Welsing.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll just ask the question. I said you did have the privilege of meeting Dr. Cress Welsing.
Yeah, I spoke to her. We spoke with session.
Yeah, I was just curious if you had association with her or met her or spent time talking with her. That's all. But I'm just listening. Very good. I'm glad you came on tonight.
No. Now, what I tried to do was I was trying to get a meeting together with her and Mr. Fuller, which they had done a few, but they did different aspects of that. And that's what I was trying to hook up someplace where we all could meet and then have a discussion, but it didn't come through. But she was very powerful in speaking what she spoke about, especially on the psychological or the psychiatric point of view, of this racism, white supremacy, and why it was. And so Fuller's was a code to fix it. See, it was two different things: how to counteract what was going on, what is still going on. See, you can't just talk about this. You have to actually live it. Every day of your life, you got to live it, because this is not a game. This is not a game. You have to live this. You have to be careful of your thought, your speech, and your actions, because they speak of you. And if you don't do that, you're still doing it, but you're doing it to the negative, and you're bringing all these things about you that should not be part of you. So it is important that you be on one accord with the creator so that you can navigate your way. It is in every area of people activity, every single area. For example, we get married and don't know a thing about what we just did. And then we compound it by having children, by getting in debt. And then that is a burden. We don't know how to treat our woman. We don't know how to treat our families, how to treat our kids. Because why? We haven't been taught how to do that. The brother I had mentioned earlier about drugs and so forth. Who put, and we had, or liquor, or numbers, or cigarettes, or now what? Legalized marijuana. Remember, used to do that, and it used to get in trouble. Well, then they took it over, put a government seal on it, so now it's legal. The same thing with liquor. We had these bootleg places. They took that over, put a seal on it, and now you can go to a state store and buy that. Same way with cigarettes. Same thing. They took it over and made a product of it. Or the numbers, which is now lottery. Used to have numbers runners for those who are old enough to remember that. They took that over. Said it was illegal. They took it over, and then what did they do? Create and then rig the games and have people play that where they get most of the money. You see, it's all a game. It's all about us.
Yeah, I say that our participation make this thing very strong, real strong. And so when we get caught up in all of the activities, and we just keep the motor going. We're the fuel of the misunderstanding. All right, Brother
Right.
Mooco.
See,
Uh,
oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, you go ahead, Mr. Bobby.
No, see, in order to do this, you cannot care if somebody likes you or not. It's not about that. You have to be determined in your mind to do that which is correct or what the Creator has put in you. Exploit that and do the right, as Spike Lee said, do the right thing instead of getting mad or upset or, taking a weapon out and using it against somebody or mistreating somebody. Mistreating somebody, which is terrible. We do mistreating our kids, not teaching them or game at that through credit card. And I'm not saying that, but what you have to do is turn it around instead of let the credit use you. See, we never thought about that. They don't teach you that. You have to learn how to do that so that you don't become a debtor to that or in bondage to that, or the same way with sex. How about love? You don't even know how to love one, a beaver or some old mess like that. You think that's about love, or you have some good feeling and you think that's all about that. No, you learn from the Creator what love is, how to do and what not to do. That's how you learn that. And that is in every area. And because we don't do that, then we are in trouble in every area of our lives.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are so mentally manipulated that they wouldn't even know if they were getting the lessons, they wouldn't even know it. And then they're so mentally damaged to the point where everything is habitual, then you're blinded. So, Brother Mooco, come on back.
Yeah,
Y'all
tell
have
me,
a-
yeah, brother.
Except for
But
this.
we didn't get there just by happenstance or
except
by
for
our
this.
own nature. We didn't get there by that way. There's a scheme and a continual plan to make us do that. Look at the state of our family. Our family is just altered. In my lifetime, it's changed. What the Black family is and becoming, and it's not by mistake. How do we combat that? We know we have these issues, but they're not innate issues. What do we do to combat this devil who has put his plans into motion and it's working?
Okay. I'm glad you asked a very profound question, Brother Mooco. And I'm going to give you the answer to your question. Now,
It wasn't me. It wasn't
before
me,
I give it
Mr.
to you,
Yeah, it
most
wasn't me, Mr.
people that
Bobby.
I know will reject, well, whoever that was, but I'm going to give an answer to that question. And here's the answer. Said that we must do in the book of Matthew, chapter 6 and verse 33. He said, this is what he said. He said, seek first the kingdom of Yahweh, of that will be added to you. And I asked him, what things? He said, the things that you need, I will add it to you. I will teach it to you. But you have to seek him first. Seek for. How do you seek it? Well, Father, seek you. Show me what I'm doing wrong. We have to humble ourselves and ask him to. We can't do it on our own. We try or lie or all the things that are in place to keep us down. But he said, seek first me, the kingdom of God and my righteousness, and all these things shall be added to you. Problem is, we don't believe that.
Is this a Christian thing?
No, it's not a Christian thing. What it is, it's about following what the Creator said. Now, a person can call it that, But really what it is you're following what Yahweh has taught you or is teaching you. You're acknowledging him first. You believe that he's first and what you do. Because if you look at your life, look at all the mistakes that you have made or I have made until you start following him. And then it becomes like grass seed. When you throw grass seed on the ground, do you go out there the next day and see if it's coming up? No. It's all a process. As Fuller says, you're learning. That grass seed has to be watered, has to be cultivated. The same here in learning of him and learning of the Creator. Again, what to do and what not to do in every single area, believing since he said that he is what he is. In fact, he says this, and I try to be careful about this because I'm not trying to turn it into a Christian thing, but he said in Numbers, the book of Numbers 23:19, he said that God or Yahweh is not a man, not flesh and blood, that he should lie, nor the Son of Man that he should repent. He ain't never done anything like that. So that means that he cannot lie. And people don't believe that. But when you believe that, embrace it, and then you live it, then you put your trust in him. I don't know how to trust. Then ask him, Father, how do I trust you? Since everything else has been a lie to me, how do I trust you? Teach me how to trust you. And this is what he said on that. If you lack wisdom, he said, anybody that lacks wisdom, he said, ask me. He said, I will give it to you liberally and I will not hold back. That's what he said.
Now
Either you believe that or you don't.
Well, see, the only thing with that is, where do you said ask him? Who's him? Because I don't.
Him is the creator.
Okay,
Him
so
is the creator, the creator of everything.
you just ask, and that's it. You don't have to go to no other sources. Just it's like a psychological thing where you just ask.
Right where you are at right now. I'll give you an example. When you say the word church, then what immediately comes to your mind? Brick and mortar. And we substitute that as being the church. And we're taught that. We believe that, except for this. He said that, don't you know that your body is the temple of my spirit? He goes, and that the Spirit of God dwells in you. In other words, brother, you are the church. But you don't believe that because you haven't been taught that. You've been taught otherwise. You've been taught that building over there, Second Avenue Baptist Church or whatever, that's where God knows. He's in you. He put that spirit, his spirit in you. But you don't believe that. See, I'm trying to be careful because I'm not trying to turn this into a religious, or if you don't know how, then ask him, well, how do I do that? He don't care if you come to him with doubts. Just come to him. Ask him. He'll teach you how to do that. But most won't believe that. No. How you know that God is a he? How come he can't be a she? And all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
so
well,
you have to invest in that. Have to invest yourself in that. Either you believe it or you don't. So if you don't believe it, then you.
Hello, Mr. Bobby.
Yeah, I'm still here.
So I'm looking at this as an excellent source of psychological edge, because it happens independently in each person's mind. So I see that as
Yes.
like you have to have some psychological confidence in yourself to seek the spirit within to empower you. So I do see that in a different light, because I don't say him either and different all of this, but I understand clearly what you're talking about. And I know it happens in
Right.
each and every
and guess
individual's
what?
mind. Yeah.
Right, and you don't have to, and you don't have to say him. It's all right.
Well,
It's
I
all
mean,
right.
yeah, I think it is too. I see where you're coming from. So we're gonna continue. Brother Mooco, come on back.
Yeah, I'm definitely here. Thank you for those BGQs, Mr. Bobby.
Yes, sir.
I wanna ask, and this is, I consider this my Compton care unit. That's what I always refer to my CNN care unit, because when I say CEN to a lot of people, they think I'm talking about CNN.
Yeah,
So I always make that distinction and say, for my Compton care unit, just like I used to do with Mr. Fuller when I would call into your program. I mean your
yes,
broadcast.
sir.
So I will direct the question in this way. For the Compton care unit and directly my care unit on X. We have a lot of these spaces like Zoom calls, but we have hundreds of people in at a time. And Nearly Fuller Jr. always talks about, or will always speak on the religion of white supremacy. And I noticed that even listening to some of your earlier broadcasts when I first would call in, it seemed like and I appreciated you and Mr. Fuller for reading through the not just the United Independent Compensatory Code System code book, but also the word guide. Would you explain for both the care units how important it is for compensatory meanings to words? And what I mean is, as far as making up for what's missing for the incomplete meaning of words, which leaves us totally confused after we read the meaning.
Well, here's the thing. And again, without being making a so-called religious or Christian concept, you have to put yourself in a position that you need help. You're not going to get help from any of these organizations or things that we've been taught that that we can go to. If anything, we're going to get used and abused and all these other things. You have it within yourself, since he again put himself inside of you, that you awaken to that and ask him to guide you into uh, questions, how to be me or not. I have to live this thing because I'm not living for myself. I'm here because he allowed me here and helped me, you know, to go and be above these or get whatever treatment that I need to do, and asking him to heal me from this, from the things that attack me, particularly. And I'm gonna tell you right now, get to be 65 and over, a lot of ask him to help because you don't know. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. You don't even know what's going to happen 10 minutes about his business more than, because anything else, I was going to fail. And I have failures in my life. Almost embarrassed to talk about it because when I first heard it, I didn't know what a care unit was. I'm brother Rashaki, but I kept listening and started to educate myself, about that. Not just family that, indigenous family, but what am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to act in that? What am I supposed to do or put it out? See, because we are an example to those that don't know how to dress right. In spite of all the things that the racists have against us, it's not impossible. Just like right now in this broadcast, there are a lot of people that don't want this to be about. Why? Because you are exposing the truth. You are exposing their lies, and they don't want that. They don't want that. So they do a lot of things to counter us, but keep going. If you can't run, you walk. If you can't walk, if you can't crawl, you roll. But whatever you do, you keep on moving.
Okay. Okay. Um, the last question that I had, and I'll let someone else go after this. As far as being, we always used to hear you and Mr. Fuller talking about being attempted parents, attempted counter-racist scientists, because the system of racism, white supremacy still exists. Usually in our care units, we have a lot of triggering words where, we victims of racism, white supremacy.
Yeah.
What do you say to the issue of race classification? You've been co, you know, co, you know, you've been, the co-host, Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. for over a decade. You've read the word book and the word guide. I mean, numerous times. I mean, cover to cover. You and Mr. Fuller, I've witnessed it. Um, what do you say to a confused victim of racism, white supremacy, um, regarding race classification?
This is the way I look at it. You remember Miles? You remember Miles Davis? You remember Miles Davis?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
remember
yes.
that? So what? That is the attitude that you have to have. So what? You know these things are out there. So what? So what? They're out there. What are you going to do about that? Are you going to let that stop you? No. You continually, in every area of your life that you know, speak truth. See, liars can't stand truth because truth exposes the lies that have been told, the mis and disinformation, the confusion. You stay that course because that is right or righteousness. And yet you can't convince nobody to do that. The only thing that you could do is live the life. I said TSA, thought, speech, in action. I remember one time you were saying that you were teaching your sons, I think it was electric or something, or it had something to do with floors or something like that. See, that's part of it. You teach them skills, how to work with their hands and how to do things. See, a lot of us don't do that. Oh, I got mine. You have to go on and get yours, or we abandon our family. No, you were right there. Well, see, you guys, we're all family. So you got something that I need, I got something that you need. So we the universal care unit. The universal care unit. That's why you have to live this thing. You can't play with this. You can't, because then you become a fraud. And you don't want to do that. You want to live this life, whether they see you or not. You want to make sure that you live this life, live this thing for real. Because this is not a game. It's life with all the stuff that are against us. Words, meanings, and all that stuff. Yeah, so what? So what? You keep on going. You keep on moving. You know it. You keep on doing. Or Brother Rashiki in this show, you keep on, regardless. You keep on because it just might inspire one person to attempt to do that which is right or lead them to the truth. And then the light comes on. Everybody's not going to get it right away. But if you keep on, the light will come on.
Keep pushing.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate
Yeah.
that. I definitely appreciate that. And yeah, I do see that
Yeah.
aim, Mr. Bobby, as far as universal care unit, because it's going to take universal men and universal women to even build a universal care unit. So yeah, I agree.
That's right. That's right.
Appreciate
Yeah.
that. I'm gonna go to the remaining people here to see if they have a comment or a question. Janita, we're gonna come back to you. You have a comment or question before we close out?
None for me.
Okay. Thanks for attending. Appreciate it. Brother Ahi.
No, very, very informative this evening. Thank you very much, Doctor.
Thank you, Brother Ahi. Professor Amin Ra.
Yeah, I just want to say I understand the spiritual aspect of what Mr. Bobby is saying. You have the spirit in you to struggle and to seek truth, do justice, and walk in the way of righteousness toward yourself and others.
Yeah.
All right. That's it.
Excellent.
Yeah. See, because we are more spiritual than we are physical. See, we're more than that, but we don't believe that. But yeah, we are. Man, you really are. So, Brother Ahi, yeah, he absolutely is correct. Absolutely. Or as you said, Brother Rashiki, keep on pushing.
Keep on pushing.
All right.
I do have one last request or question, Mr. Bobby. I think that you could probably tackle really quickly. And this is particularly for not for my Compton Care unit, because we don't really have too many issues with this, what I'm about to hit you with right now, but particularly for the X and like social media care unit. Can you explain the importance of BGQ, what that means, and the importance of it for victims of racism, white supremacy?
Okay. I'll use you as Brother Rashid about when you first brought up care unit. I'm like Brother Rashiki. I didn't know what you meant by that. I didn't. I really didn't. You know, I thought it was completely foreign to me. But see, you had something that I needed, and I listened to you and over. So whether something is on the social media or not, I don't care where it is at. As long as you follow TSA, not the Transportation Safety Administration, but your thought, speech, and actions, because they all have to match. That is the truth. Right in the truth, you don't have nothing to worry about. You just continually do that. Just like this show, when Brother Rashiki, well, do you have a topic? All of it is a topic to me because I live this thing. When this thing cuts off, I'm still living it. I'm still living. When I go out and I know the threats and the actions and things that could possibly happen to me, but I live this thing. I live it. And what I don't know, I ask. I ask him from the spiritual aspect to help me because I need help. I need help. I need to do. I need to know this because we have people, maybe kids or somebody or other adults. Somebody is always looking and watching. They're watching me right now. The chief of police don't live that far away from me, or the former mayor. They're watching me. I understand that, but I ain't doing nothing. The only thing they can say, well, he's cutting his grass and he keeps it up. You know, he's not having no wild parties and all that kind of. I mean, I'm aware that they watching, but I don't want to do none of that stuff. All I want to do is that which is right, unless there's a crime for cutting your grass and keeping your property up and all that kind of stuff. You know, I don't know. It could be. You never know, especially with the way this administration is. You just never know. But whatever it is, I'm going to do as Spike Lee says, do the right thing.
I heard that. Practice their righteousness.
Always the hardest to do the right thing when nobody ain't looking, right?
Hey, do it.
That's why I always travel
because,
alone.
You know, yeah.
Oh man.
You know, that kind of reminds me of the song that Fuller always used to mention. I told you I love you, now get out. You know. And I'm gonna tell you another one that he in the old I'm gonna tell you another one that he shouted out on counterracism.com, because him and Mr. Lee were personal friends. And Mr. Counterracism.com, on this platform, he has a lot of private sessions that Fuller and Mrs. Frances Cress Welsing had at that YouTube and nobody has ever seen or heard. So I would employ you know, the victims of racism, white supremacy, to utilize that platform. There you go, counterracism.com. For victims of racism, white supremacy. But Mr. Fuller was on one of those sessions and he mentioned the song by wow, how his name escapes me. The one that's I'm your mama, I'm your daddy. That
Yeah,
guy.
Curtis Mayfield.
Curtis Mayfield. He
Pusher
had a song
Man.
called but he had a song that Mr. Fuller quoted called "The Wrong Side of Town." Nothing goes right in wrong side of town. I was like, oh man, so it was a real cold song, like that 1940 song he mentioned. I told you I love you, now get out.
Yeah, now I have to write that one down.
Mr. Bobby, I almost
Yes, sir.
forgot. Can you tell us about the show that comes on Tuesdays that you're part of?
It's still what you have on the screen here. That's not exactly, that was just a topic, but it's still the extension of Neely Fuller's The Counter Racist Code Show that is heard every Tuesday from 9 until 10. And we used to do 2 hour planning at some point to expand it to 2 hours. Right now, people can chat and then we read the chat, but we are planning in the future so that people can call in and actually be a guest. In fact, Brother Rashiki, you could be a guest on the show, you know, especially since it's done remote. We're planning a lot of things because, see, we are evolving. We are quickly evolving. Fuller is elders, and now it's our turn to get this information out. And so this is what we're doing now. So it's never rehearsed or anything like that, even though he might tell me what we're going to talk about. But I'll always try to introduce bits and pieces of information to get people to think and ask, as Mr. Fuller would say, why? Because you want to know why, to give you a reason to keep doing what you're doing. You don't want to be like Boo Boo the Fool. You don't want to do no. You don't want to be foolish in none of your action or activities.
So that's 9 a.m. Which time zone?
That's the Eastern time zone, brother, which will be 6 a.m. California.
Okay. Eastern time zone. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot for that. Professor Amin Ra?
Yes.
What is our topic for next week, next Tuesday on Conscious Corner?
Oh yeah, we're going to discuss the three major issues that we face as African people, and that's the Enemy Alien Act that Trump is using, birthright, you know, the constitutional aspect, the United States constitutional aspect of birthrights, as well as we're going to be discussing the due process, as well as freedom of speech. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Next week on Wednesday we have Stephen Pettis of the Shield of Valor, the security group. They've been on twice, and he's the featured guest, and the group probably be on again. That's next Wednesday. Appreciate everyone coming out this evening. Thanks a lot. It's always good to see everyone and participate in information sharing for educational purposes. So we're gonna take our pause. Each one teach one in Conscious Corner. Everybody continue to have a great day.
All right, my brother.